Going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster here at the end of the week. It is Friday, December 23rd, 2022. It's about 9:08 p.m. here along the West Coast in California. Still got an earthquake watch up here on the globe, just due to some elevated conditions out here along the West Coast with very minimal westward pressure movement out there along the Western Pacific. Latest earthquake shows a 1.1 into the area of California currently on this Friday night. Hope everyone out there is enjoying their evening. It is still quite cold out there around portions of the country. Here in California, 43 degrees. A little bit of fog out there, and that's about it. Got rain coming up here in the forecast. All right, so starting off here into the southern portion of California, there is a 1.2 earthquake coming in just off the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault. Also earlier today, we did see a little bit of movement down here off the Brawley seismic zone. No major swarming, but we did see two earthquakes in about the 1.5 range. A little bit further to the west here, some activity into this portion of the state, southern portion of the state here as well. All right, looking up north, a little spotty throughout the Sierra Nevada. The Bay Area, though, looks pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on around the San Francisco Bay. And movement up here, folks, into the Northern California area. Still, for whatever reason, they're not really reporting too many earthquakes out there for some reason. And I've been watching these. Well, not maybe over the couple hours. I haven't really seen them. I've been gone. But earlier this afternoon time frame, we still seen some activity kicking up along the Petrolia area in Northern California, and the Dinsmore station showing activity across the area. But for some reason, they stopped reporting them. And I believe that's got to do with maybe the frequency or the amount of them. They're trying to play catch up, and maybe they could be booked. They may be backlogged so far that they have so much activity to review that eventually maybe they'll get around to reporting them all. But either way, some of the preliminary earthquake data systems out there should at least put out that activity. Now, there is still some movement up here over the last week around the Cascadia subduction zone that has yet to be reviewed. Some of those earthquakes are still just underneath automatic status there in Northern California, following that 6.4 a few days ago. So these are still waiting to be reviewed, and that's a pretty long time for someone to not be able to review it. Most of the time they jump right on this, but there's probably been so many that it's definitely hard to play catch up. 192 earthquakes over the last week, but again, you could probably triple that number with the amount of actual earthquakes taking place out here. All right, looking at Washington, got some activity outside of the Morton area. I've been noticing a little bit of swarming up here in this little region. It is to the southwest of Mount Rainier, just there in the Cascades, just to the west there. Not for sure what's going on, but either way, a little bit of earthquake activity kicking up there over the last 24 hours. Some deeper movement up here as well, near the Olympic Peninsula of Washington. Now, let's go ahead and check out the tremor map tonight and see what we have for activity. And it looks as though we got 60 epicenters of tremor, not volcanic tremor, not earthquakes, but they're kind of like earthquakes. They're very slow slip event movements happening along the Cascadia subduction zone. And we got 60 of them, mostly there into Oregon and Northern California. Nothing really showing up there in Washington currently, but we definitely get some earthquake activity. All right, the rest of the country, look at that. Not for sure what's going on. Aside from the super cold weather, we are looking at very minimal earthquake activity being reported across the rest of the states. A look at the seismograph station here across the Yellowstone area pretty much confirms it. There's not a whole lot going on. A couple small microquakes there, but they normally don't list those very small ones. So activity somewhat dying down out here along the North American plate. Further to the south around the Puerto Rico area, still seeing some swarming out here around the Morelos Trough southwestern portion of Puerto Rico. Down here in the South America region, the latest one shows a 4.5 into the Peru-Chile Trench, about 196 kilometers deep. Now we have been seeing a little bit of activity kick up there over the last couple days, and even some smaller quakes there in the mix around the Argentina area. A little bit of activity, it looks like, along the Kermadec Trench. Let's go ahead and check that out. And it looks as though there's at least one 5-pointer coming in earlier this evening, about an hour or so ago, about an hour and a half. 5.0, Kermadec Trench, 12 kilometers deep. Not a deep earthquake whatsoever, but could be pointing towards something maybe possibly picking up out here pretty soon. Across the Indonesia area, a little bit of activity as well. Looks like 4.8 in the Banda Sea area. And one earthquake back over here around the Papua New Guinea area, kind of back building along this plate boundary. A couple 4s there today. No major sufficient movement yet along the Western Pacific or the adjacent plates over here around the Philippine plate. Still waiting for that little trigger to pop up here. And so far it's been holding pretty solid. Haven't really seen a whole lot of westward pressure movement out here as far as the larger quakes go. So again, I'm going to probably leave up the West Coast Earthquake Watch overnight as well. Just due to that fact that we haven't really seen any major pressure movement out there. So I still think we got a shot of watching the potentially the West Coast for some activity. Up in Russia earlier, about 3 o'clock in the morning, we've seen a 4.2. Alaska region, well, nothing showing up here within the last hour. 2.5 and above. Shows a general line of activity across the Aleutian Trench portion of it into the subduction zone with a couple of these earthquakes down there about 25, 45, 65, and even 78 kilometers deep. So some deeper movement, putting a little bit of strain here in this area of the subduction zone. We'll watch that potentially for some activity as well. All right, let's see what else we got. Tremor. Let's check out the GeoNet servers here, and we'll give them a quick glance and see what's going on. Yeah, it looks like a 2.7 about 2 days ago. Let's go to the all magnitudes here. A couple ones. There's a deleted 2.3, 4.9. Now that may be the Kermadec Trench one. GeoNet reporting a 4.9, but the USGS I think had that at a let's see, what was that, 5-pointer down there? Going to be that 5.0. So a little bit of just got a 3.1 notification right now coming in. Well, there we go. They can't really hide those 3-pointers. 3.1 Northern California coming in right now as we speak. Notice the seismograph station there in Petrolia and Dinsmore. So that's coming in right over here. Look at that, kicking up. You can't really hide that. So it looks as though we had a 4.1 and a 3.1. Now, let's see here. 2112. These are basically within seconds of each other. Literally seconds of each other. Now, I do see 2 signatures there. I see one right here. Notice that signature. And then a little bit later, a bigger one. That pretty much flatlined that prior reading. So, yeah, that's kind of odd, too. 21. So 2112 is the earlier one, a larger one, and a 3.1 is a later one by seconds. But I think should be vice versa there, because we're seeing that listed up here on the map. It's first signature right here, and a little bit later we get that. Just a couple seconds later we get the larger one. So that's a 4-pointer, and I believe that's going to be the 3.1 here, possibly. But then again, this location here, you got to remember location with the seismograph station, so that could be right. The 4.1 is considerably farther out away from the seismograph reading, that's right. And the 3.1 is much closer to the Petrolia seismograph station, so it's going to look a little bit larger. So that's correct. Within seconds of each other, though, pretty crazy. So just as I was speaking about earthquake activity popping up here and them not reporting it, It's like bada boom, bada bang. It comes up. Actual earthquakes as we speak. Speaking stuff into existence. There's a pretty cool book about that. Right? You kind of create your own reality. Here I am creating earthquakes. All right. We'll keep the earthquake watch up for sure now after that activity. The big island of Hawaii. Some activity around Kilauea Volcano kicking up. Uncertain as to what's going on there. Of course, this has come to a halt about the same time that the Mauna Loa volcano came to a halt. But I think it's mighty suspicious. Something going on, brewing underneath the big island. What it is, I don't know. I don't have that crystal ball, but I think it's highly suspect there. Let's go ahead and check out Kilauea Volcano. I know there's not any updated information, and they're only putting it out every week. So we got another 4 days before we see any update on Kilauea Volcano. But we can look at seismograph stations in the vicinity. That one's offline. We'll check out this one here and see what we got. Wow, that's woo, that's a little 3D. Some 3D seismograph viewing right there. Kind of looks like it. That one's out of whack, but it does show some earthquake activity. So let me see if I can find a little bit better station, I would say. Now, if all of them look like that, I would be kind of curious as to what's going on out there around Kilauea Volcano. Here we go. So, we definitely got some earthquake activity, but this kind of looks like magma movement, to be honest. That's what we see during explosive events or magma type events there. And that is showing up at that station. Let me check here at a distant station. Not quite as much here at a little bit further station, but right around the crater area, that's picking that up as well. That definitely looks like some type of harmonic tremor, volcanic activity, magma movement below in a big fashion. Is there something going on out there? I don't know. This do we got any webcams here? I think we do have some webcams around the Kilauea Volcano. Let's see here. What we got? Lava Lake looks black. Not really seeing anything on there right now. Here's the thermal image. I'm gonna have to check back here tomorrow, but that's definitely some odd activity showing up there at Kilauea Volcano with that different type of earthquake activity, harmonic tremor, volcanic movement. Looks like volcanic activity, I should say. Don't want the volcano moving. Mauna Loa up here on the seismograph station. That one's offline as well. The other, let's check out this other station here. What's going on here? Hello. That one's kind of haywire as well. Not for sure what's going on. Of course, they did have some pretty windy conditions here recently. Man, let me see here. That one's offline as well. Goodness. Hello, USGS. Hey, at least as long as they got one on there, they can just keep it going, right, all weekend. A little bit of activity localized there to the Mauna Loa area. But I'm not seeing any of that weird activity like we were seeing there a week or so ago. But then again, those stations are down. So it's hard to say. Either way, going to watch that. Kilauea Volcano kicking up with some oddball earthquake activity. All right, space weather. Welcome back, solarham.net. They have adjusted their server and everything appears to be secured and stable. I do like to utilize the space weather website very often, and it's well worth it to donate to this channel when they ask for donations. I utilize this site a lot, and I like the layout. I can find any of these images across any of the SDO or the space weather event web pages, but I like it. It's very well designed as far as this one goes. So we did have a G1 class storm earlier. Looks like that is still into effect, and it is still showing up here at some of the higher latitudes, and more specifically up there in the Canada, getting quite the eyeful if they have clear skies. Got KP index conditions there around 4, almost 5, indicating those G1 class storm conditions. It looks unsettled here over the next couple nights. There is a solar wind stream flowing past Earth, and I believe it's above the 500 km range. Speed is elevated. Density is up there as well. There's a BZ component tilt there to the south, allowing that solar wind stream to flow in. And that is just from, I believe, possibly from either a coronal hole or maybe some type of small CME over the last couple days. Looking at the solar flare threat, 60% chance for a C flare, M flare at 10, X flare lowered down to 1%. A quick look at the magnetic structure of the sunspots. Look, well, it doesn't look promising. These are looking worse and worse as the hours and days progress here. It's been a very active solar cycle, and we definitely haven't peaked out yet, but we haven't really seen any large-scale events Earth-directed. There's a regional sunspot back here. We'll watch possibly for some elevated conditions. That's going to be 3173 over the next couple days. So no major coronal holes facing us. In fact, I don't see any. There's 56, 57, a couple on the northern and southern portion of the sun, but that's about it. All right, folks, have a good day, a good night. Stay safe out there this weekend. I know we got a lot going on. Big weekend for many, many people out here. There's that 4.1 and 3.1 definitely showing up there. I don't know. That 4.1 should have came in a little bit bigger though on the map. But let's see. Do they keep the 4.1? Yeah, it's hard to say. We'll watch these, see if they get adjusted or not. Either way, yeah, activity kicking up into Northern California still, just when I was talking about it, right? Pretty crazy how that happens. All right, folks, have a good night. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow sometime. Of course, we'll be doing updates all weekend long. And, of course, if anything major changes, I try to get up, even from a dead sleep, and get an update out here on the channel. So we'll catch you guys a little bit later on. Please stay safe out there. And, yeah, see you guys tomorrow.